Accept your death.
So I've been playing through Invasions with Ghostface and been having a lot of fun with him. Just how goofy and stuff he is. And I've seen the Scream movies, but it was like a long time ago. So I decided last night to just check out Scream. Looked up Scream.
First one?
The newest one, actually. I meant to watch the first one, but I started watching and I was like, this is not the first one. I'm like, whatever, I'll just watch it through anyways. And yeah, it was fun, I guess. I won't spoil anything. I don't know how new it is, but I can say though that within like probably the first minute of the character being on screen, I already knew who one of the killers was. It was just way too obvious the way they set the character up. But I think that like series is kind of like self-aware of that in some point, you know.
I made it to the point, so I started that one like leading up to Ghostface release because I'd never seen it, and I made it to the scene where they're all sitting in high school and like, man, I guess we're all suspects. I was like, how did you just jump to that, like just like that, right? Like, oh, it could be any one of us. You know, I know there's the tradition of it and stuff, but it was just felt so shoehorned to me. I was like, no, I'm good.
It was like cheesy, but like self-awareness cheesy. So I thought it was like kind of fun. I probably would give it like a 5 out of 10 if I had to. I'm not a movie critic or anything.
On the dinkometer.
The dinkometer. Yeah. we should bring that back as a segment. Yeah, every week I'll just watch some random movie and give it a rating on my dink.
No, every week you need to watch another Scream movie.
Oh man, and just report back to it every week. Hold me accountable for watching every single Scream movie.
Well, that means I would have to watch them in order to hold you accountable.
That's
I've
true.
only seen the only ones I remember. So I watched the first one. I've seen a bunch. The second one I saw a couple times. The third one, I don't think I finished the third one, and I definitely haven't seen any of them after that, except for like the first 20 minutes of this last one you were just talking about.
Right. Yeah, I watched the first 3, but that was a long time ago. I don't really remember much of anything at that at all. But speaking of Scream, we have some killer comments that you guys left last week, so we're going to get into them here. First one we're starting with here. Laura says, I still think Kwon needs buff. That armor portal isn't that strong for him to have huge weakness and everything else. And I kind of agree with that, I guess. Like, I don't know. He's a weird character to play, because when that armor portal is in play, like, it's a different story. A lot of people just like to just run away from him, which is fine. Like, I'll throw that on screen just so that they run away, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to zone you. But I think that he needs something else for how weak zoning is in this game. He just doesn't play the game very well, unfortunately. I don't really know what it is, but maybe you could make Tentacle a little faster so he has more like true 50-50s off like the 2-1-4 and the 2-1-3 kind of idea. Because like his mix isn't scary. Once you play against Kwon and you get familiar with what the strings look like, it's not that hard to fuzzy.
Yeah, the key to the Kwon matchup is to not panic when that portal's out, right? His mix isn't super scary. There's some weird fuzzy business going on, right? If you can get a standing 2 in there, but I don't know. I think their idea of Kwon, especially as a 900 health character, and giving him the armor portal, which they gave to him after the fact, I feel like he was supposed to launch with that, and they're like, no, this is going to be too strong. Let's just see how, it settles. And he sucked, right? Like,
he was really
bad. So they gave that to him the next patch, and it was like, okay, I finally feel like I'm playing Mortal Kombat 1 now. So I think that their idea was because you don't take the hit stun, but you still take the damage when you get hit while you're armored, right? So, and him being a lower health character, kind of like one of those things, like not really glass cannon, but that's like the trade-off. Like, you get to open them up, but if they hit you with a down 2 or whatever, you still took like 100 and whatever damage that is.
Yeah. I think one thing that they could do, because like currently he has like 3 little ticks of armor that he gets, where it's just like ticks armor, then it goes away for like a couple frames, not very much, but then it comes back. I don't know. I feel like if you just gave him armor for that whole duration instead of having those 3 ticks, I think that might be a positive way to balance him.
Isn't it an extra hit of armor for each, because he glow, like as the opponent's standing next to the portal, right? He'll flash like every couple seconds or something. I thought that was like an additional, like that's the difference in between having to break through 1 hit of armor versus losing to 3 hits of armor or whatever. Is that wrong?
Yeah, it's just kind of like refreshes the armor. Like if you just do the
Okay.
regular portal, like the non-meter burn one, it just flashes once and then that's done. And then when you do the meter burn one, it flashes 3 times. So that's armor coming on, it goes away for a little split second, armor coming on again, then goes away, comes on a third time.
So that's like why Melina just tears right through it.
Yeah, she doesn't give a
because
fuck.
the second hit of that 1-2 string is too fast for your next hit of armor.
Yeah, it's too slow. It's poor Quan is just too slow to get something going against it. Like 99% of characters just standing one into an armor move. You know, like that's 2 hits. Your second hit's armored. You might take a little bit of damage, but you'll break the portal. And depending on your character, you know, you might push him away from that portal too. So that's.
So you think just give him just static armor the whole time, just like super armor?
I don't know if I'd say super armor because I feel like that could be a little ridiculous. But I mean, maybe just continuous armor or maybe 2 hits of armor just to make it a little bit more scary. Because the mix is like what he can like get most definitely is like a throw in that situation. But then he's killing almost the entire portal with his throw animation. So it's like, that's not really that scary, to be honest. So,
well, continuous armor is super armor, right?
I think super armor is unbreakable, from what I recall. Like you can't, it doesn't matter how many hits, you will continuously be armored the whole time. So I think
isn't that what you just said though? Just make it continuously armored?
No, like eliminate like the armor going away for like a split second because he can get hit out of that in between those 2 hits of armor. It kind of flashes, then it goes away for like doesn't feel very long, maybe like 10 frames or something like that, and then it comes back.
And how is that different from super? So if they did remove that gap, right? So we had armor the whole time. That's super armor.
So it would take away the gaps in the armor, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Right. So through the duration, he would be super, which is fine. I think that's totally valid. I don't know how hard that would. I mean, there's so many people like, oh no, because people hate that thing, right? Quan players think it sucks, and other players think that it's just the worst thing about the matchup.
Yeah.
About playing against a Quan.
I mean, and I get it, and it's one of those things we were kind of mentioning before that, you know, it stops you from playing the game, and that's what makes people, you know, kind of salty. Is like, okay, now I have to sit here and hold this, or sit here and wait, or whatever. They don't get to, you're not playing footsies or zoning or rushdown or whatever. It stops kind of the pace of the game, which I mean I get, but that's the character, so.
Yep.
Rip you, I guess.
You know, and if people know their setups and they know how to trap you in the corner, right? Because there are, I'm sure as we've all run into, you know, people that will just jump right out of it because what you went to follow up with was way too slow. You know, you totally missed your meaty, or you try to do like something else, fully charged back to, or whatever, and people are just gonna. I don't ever hold, well, you know, right? Like I don't like to hold anything. So if I think I can wiggle out, I'll definitely try. And once you show me that you're beating me, you know, 20 times later, then maybe I'll start respecting it. But, you know, you got to beat that conditioning into me. But I'm always trying to squirm out of that. And I think that makes a lot of Qualm players go like, wow, Portal sucks.
Right. And there's a lot of ways out of it. I'm sure with the replay takeover thing, a lot of people can lab that situation, saying, okay, what can I do a little bit differently this time, right? And just try and see what they can do to get out of it. So we'll see.
What do you usually do?
Again,
what's in your head when you throw out? You have a knockdown in the corner. You set up armor portal, EX armor portal. What's coming?
Depends a little bit on the Kameo I have. If I have Serena, I'm doing 2-1-4 into the P shooter because I can do 4 reps of that before she stops, like back to back to back because of how fast it comes through. And that's a lot of chip. And then, because they're kind of forced to block the P shooter because they're standing out for the 2 overheads at the end. And that's when you can start mixing in like Tentacle and all that kind of stuff. Another thing that I'll do, something not as often, but sometimes I'll do something that's purposely unsafe just to try to bait a punish. Similar to like how you do with Frost Orb, you know? Like do like a teleport and just bait them trying to punish it or something like that. So those are like my
armor portal into Sky Drop, Yo Quan Chi classic.
The special, right? And then the golden punish, you armor out, big combo, that kind of thing. But for the most part, I'm I'm just trying to use my slow buttons to open you up, and then I'll use a throw towards the end of the portal, just since it's going away anyways, and might as well get a little bit of quote-unquote guaranteed damage, you know?
Right.
So good comment. I don't know what the future holds for Quan. We'll see. We'll see what NRS wants to do with him. Moving on to next very interesting comment from General Ox says, from Australia here, and just FYI, I've only seen red relish. Never seen green. Didn't even know green was a thing. And that's just so funny to show like how things are so different. Just, you know, across
How
the
different
ocean.
would your life be if you're born just like, say, 20 years later and in a different part of the world?
Flipped on my head, you know, like all relish is red instead of green. Like what? What magic
Imagine
is
your
this?
life without green relish.
What would I do? You looked up what red relish is, didn't you?
I think it's made of peppers, like I was speculating last week. I Googled and I found just like a bunch of just places to order it, and I found a couple recipes, and it looks like peppers, whereas like our relish is traditionally pickles, right? So you can have green relish even if they don't sell it in the stores. Just mince up some dill pickles, and voila, there you go.
There's your relish. Oh, there you go. General Ox, I hope that you try making green relish and absolutely astonish your friends and family. And then think
Put it
you're...
on a hot dog.
Put it on...
With some mustard, yummy.
Do they have hot dogs in Australia? Is that a thing?
Oh, some sort of brat, some sort of tubed pork, you know, something or another.
Now that I've learned about relish, I don't know what else is different down there, you know? It'd be a whole new world.
I mean, they're on the other side of the equator, Dink.
Yeah, they have like summer and we have winter.
It's tomorrow there right now, you know?
Oh. You know what? I just realized that for them, our podcast always releases on Mondays. Dun, dun,
Yep.
dun. That just threw me over my head. It is super duper flattering that people are tuning in from all over the world to listen to us, our incoherent ramblings every week. So I think that's super cool. And it's fun to learn about different areas and just the one thing that unites us all is Mortal Kombat. Isn't that wholesome? I love that. I love that for us. It's fantastic. All right.
Fantastic.
Well, moving on to our last comment, and then we have a bonus comment this week, actually. Where did I put it here?
Bonus comment.
We do have a bonus comment. I'll go into that after this one. I want to hear your speculation on this one. So Majin says, with how good Ghostface is, how do you think T1000 is going to play? Would be interesting if he could morph into MK characters that didn't make the roster or pass DLC. Also, great podcast. Keep it up. So it's been a long time since I've seen T1000, watched that as like a child, but I do remember kind of like the morphing into different people, I think. I don't know. You might be more up to date on that than me.
Well, so he's not like classic machine like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's made of liquid metal. So he can be a puddle. He can do like one of the classic scenes from that movie, his arms, like as he's running and his arms turn to big, just like metal spears. They're both just like big pointed weapons.
That is something
I think he'll have that. He'll have that no matter what. There's just no way he won't have that. I feel like that's one of his like most defining things. And I bet he'll have some sort of like teleporter movement thing, kind of like someone was saying in the Discord, like Glacius from Killer Instinct, right? Yeah. Go into like that puddle form and, you know, move around. Things like that. I don't know about steals. I think it would, because Shane kind of like already does that.
Yeah.
And then he also has the cameo stills, but they could give him unique stills the way that like a different take on Shujinko stills. Like he's not stealing specials or launchers, but maybe he I actually have no idea. What do you think he could steal? And to like say like only like he's like reptile, he only morphs from like the waist up or only his arms or something. Like Baraka's chop in this game. That's something that he could have.
I think it would be super cool if he had like crazy like animations, like his ducking animation is literally just his top half melting. I think that would be cool. And he's just legs. But like
that would be super sick.
He's just ducking, you know, that kind of thing.
What would his down one be?
I bet he's going to have an absolutely obnoxious, disjointed AF down one. Like it's going to be the most annoying thing of any character in the game. Maybe.
You think?
I think so. He's going to have some weird transforming like into like that little slasher dealy thing, and it's going to be a down one. It's going to reach ridiculous. Hopefully it's going to be super duper negative as well to compensate.
Going to be like Melina's, like a -10 sort of thing.
Yeah, if I had to guess, that's kind of what the direction I think they would go with that. But that's just my speculation. I'm would be interesting to see if he has like some cool air stuff he could do. You know, kind of morphing around in the air. I think that would be
One of the things I look forward to a lot before we see like a character reveal, but we already know who the character is like what their back throw is going to look like.
Right.
I feel like they always try to put a lot of character identity into that. So like the more generic ones, like they don't know what to do, but you can see when they get like really creative with them.
Yeah, and things like throw breaks, like Ghostface's throw tech is.
It's like
is,
no,
Yeah,
like
no,
he
no,
wags
no.
his finger, no.
Yeah, like things like that are just super well done, and it's those little intricacies that really like make or break characters, in my opinion. It's just cool to see that creativity.
Yeah, as long as it's not so unique, they get to do something special, right? Wasn't there the like one of Scorpion's throw brutalities in MK11 registered before you could even tech the throw, so it was like guaranteed brutal if you only had 120 damage or 120 health left, or however much throws did in that game. I don't even remember.
I think it was. I think like, am I
150?
misremembering? Did everybody have that brutal where they threw you at the camera, and like it was like off of a back throw? I think. I don't remember.
Know. They do in this game. I haven't done it a single time in this game. Have you?
Yeah, I forgot it's even in this game. Maybe that's what I'm remembering.
I don't even know what the input is.
I haven't looked. I remember it was all over everywhere for like, a couple weeks, and then I just never saw it again. I'll have to look into that because it was like guaranteed brutal. They couldn't tech because it did the damage.
Right.
It's kind of sick. You know what else is kind of sick? Hatyr this week. Dun dun dun.
I know I'm stuffy. Sorry.
You still sound like an angelic little dove to me. So whatever.
Oh, thanks.
Whatever kind of technology you're using to mask your sickness is doing God's work.
I haven't been sick since like 2019. Definitely before COVID. Like I haven't been before COVID. I was getting sick. I felt like 3 or 4 times a year, and then as soon as started to like work from home and I was away from all of that, and I just realized like people are just fucking filthy, man. It's disgusting. Yeah. I mean, you just accept it so passively. And then once I'm like removed from that sort of like environment, and I was like just totally fine. But it finally caught up to me. I probably made it about 5 years without getting sick, and it's all over. Feels bad, man.
Well, we wish you a speedy recovery. Do you have any secret tips or anything for when you're sick? Anything in particular that you any remedies that you use?
No, I don't even. I have to be like hurting, like having a headache so bad that it's breaking my concentration to like even take an Advil or ibuprofen. I normally don't. And it's not like an ideology sort of thing. I just am not good about taking care of myself. I'll just know I'm a glutton for punishment. Maybe I
hear you.
Like whatever, but I very rarely do. It has to be pretty bad for me to be like, okay, it's time to go get some like Dayquil or something. But I don't know any like weird honey and tea or, ginger this or mortar pestle some of this and some of that.
Eye of Newt type of thing.
Yeah. Bat wings.
Bat wings. Oh, full Natar over here. I enjoy me some Neocitrin when I'm sick. I have a nice warm cup of that, and it's very, especially if I have a sore throat, it's like fantastic. Goes down. I don't know if you guys have that stuff down there or not, but it's great.
No, but so I say I didn't take it. I don't take anything for like the throat pain is what gets me, right? So I'll like, a lozenge or some Ludens, right? It's basically just candy, just like hard candy that like soothes the throat.
Flintstone vitamins.
Oh, yeah.
You never outgrow Flintstone vitamins.
Yabba dabba do.
Oh, yabba dabba don't. I don't know. Okay, so we did have a bonus comment that we wanted to go over here. I believe Hatyr picked it out specifically. This is not from the previous podcast, but this is from our first to 10 that we did on our challenge week. So we have McKix.
Our challenge week 3, right? So there's 2 others before that, and as soon as we're done with this recording, we're going to do the last and final sort of thing, our challenge of learning a new character and team. for the month of November is coming to a close.
Coming to a close. What a experiment it's been. So McKick says, both of you guys improved. Wish my buddy wasn't so emotional about winning. We could be just like you guys, playing to get better, like iron sharpening iron. And I think that that's super important if you have a training partner or something, that you know that you're both understanding that you're playing to improve and playing to get better, and not exactly just playing to win. You know, like winning is obviously the end goal, but when you're training, you more just, in my opinion anyway, the winning is more, I adapted to something that my partner was doing, or I blocked something that I never blocked. You know, like those are little things that are the true wins. And like sometimes, especially if you go on like a skid, we were talking about this a couple days ago, that it can kind of get overwhelming. You kind of start to lose track of those things, and then that's when you kind of start to get emotional and stuff. But I mean, for the most part, the wins are just improving. That sound about right, Hatyr? Kind of how you've been approaching it as well?
Yeah, it's like you said, the little wins, right? Even if you're not literally winning the round, it's still like, well, at least I anti-aired him every single time he jumped at me. Like, that's a win in my book. And it's just, especially when you're playing with your friends, or, you know, grinding with people in a Discord or whatever, if there's nothing on the line, it's just, you know, practicing situations. And not everyone plays every character the same. And so
It's very true, especially with cameos.
yeah. And you get out there, and then when you're like in TNS or Coliseum or, you know, Bone Dome or whatever, then yeah, like it's okay to get butthurt over a loss and stuff.
Yeah,
You know, I don't think it's cool to ever blame like your opponent and stuff like that. It's okay to be frustrated at the game and to like be hard on yourself, but you just kind of, you have to have those little takeaways. Well, at least I did this, or, you know,
and
I don't know. I lose a lot.
I've said that a lot over the years, is like, because mostly in like Combat League and stuff, you'll find somebody who you'll beat, and then they're blaming you for their loss. And if you start to do that, you're kind of ignoring all the things that you did wrong in that set, and you're hindering your own improvement by passing the blame onto somebody else. You're relying on somebody else to play differently so that you can win, which is not a good mindset and will not help you. Every single loss is your own fault, whether it's you picked a low tier character just because you like to play them, or you picked a different cameo, or you made the wrong reads. You know, the only time that I will like literally get salty is when things outside of my control like affect the outcome. Like there's a giant lag spike and I drop my combo, or you know, there's an infinite that somebody does on me, something like that. You know, those are those are things that really
like
get me salty.
exploit type stuff. But otherwise, I mean, treat it like you would any sort of other, like, you know that 2 + 2 = 4, and we know the acceleration of gravity is negative 9.8 meters per second squared, or whatever, right? And
I didn't know that.
think about the game as like a system. This happened, especially now with match replay. It's really easy. You don't even need to duplicate the situation. You just go back into the rematch and find the situation and do what you need to do. But, you know, assuming that there's consistency, and, you know, there can be some lack of consistency sometimes, but for the most part, I would say, like, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's just your frustration comes from the confusion of getting beat out of it every time, but there is an answer in there, right? And there may be more options than you think, right? It's sometimes not as easy as just like, okay, well, I'm going to delay wake up versus not, or I'm going to jump on wake up, or I'm going to poke them here, or, you know, whatever. And then it turns into like backdashing, and then it turns into like, once layers get established, I think that's a pretty big roadblock for people, where they start to see plateaus, is when they feel like they're doing good, and then that same person starts adapting to their game plan and kind of shuts it down, and they don't know what to do back.
Right. Yeah, that's very common. I see that a lot. They have one game plan that works for as long as it works, and then somebody catches on, and then all of a sudden they don't win anymore because they figured out that, and then they just don't know what to do because they've just relied on that one game plan. And that's where like having a complete overall game is important. You know, knowing your fundamentals of the game and what to do in different situations and how to mix things up accordingly. You know, not just relying on the same string over and over again, or the same projectiles over and over again, or the same command grab, you know, those types of
Right.
things.
And the flip side of that is that you can just overcomplicate. You can't mix somebody up that doesn't realize they're being mixed up. You know what I mean? So
And no mix-up.
there's no need in trying to establish layers when they don't even realize like what's if you're playing, especially if you're losing to somebody that you are convinced is worse than you, and you could be right, but that's probably your blind spot is that overcomplication. Like, and it's boring. I feel like to kind of just always play on that. That makes me feel guilty when I feel like I'm not moving past like an initial layer because I hate playing against that. Right? I like to have like a little bit of back and forth. What's going on? And I don't like it when I'm that guy. So I try to be mindful of that, especially lately. But I have a bad habit of being that guy, you know. But anyway, if you feel like you're losing to stuff that's inferior to you, I can guarantee you're just overcomplicating it, and if you literally just anti-air them and punish them when they inevitably do something that's unsafe, and just make sure you take your turn, you have good meaties and things like that, just really good super basic fundamentals, you'll get through them every time.
That's
not every time, but
yeah, you'll have more success, I think, overall. And like that's how I like to play, is like a bait and punish kind of a thing. Like you know, like if I'm full screen, that's when I'll be aggressive with my projectiles, and then when people start to close the gap, that's when I try and play a little less aggressive and make more reads on movement. And usually when I lose is when I'm too aggressive in that neutral zone. People jump over my stuff, or I whiff something or whatever.
Yep.
But I can tell you the amount of times I've hit a knockdown in the corner into EX armor portal into Suns Out Pits Out, and I just start charging that back too. The amount of people that hits is ridiculous. Like, they're so confused, and then they like stand up and then they duck again, and they're just not really sure what they're looking like. It's just hilarious to me.
Yeah, that's the one to jump out of. You see the armpits? Get the fuck out of there.
Get out of there. They know their pits are coming down on you.
Yeah.
Oh, good old Quan. I love that so much. I can't help but grin. And then if they block it, then I'm +8. So womp womp. Still my turn. And I'm armored. Maybe Quan ain't so bad, you know? I don't know.
Careful now. Wait, I don't want to talk too well about him.
That's true. They might nerf my poor guy. I doubt that. I really doubt that. Nah.
He needs love.
He does need love. Please give Quan some buffs. I don't know what at this point, but we need something. Geras too, actually. Actually, I don't know about Geras. It's funny because when we've been doing this like 30-day challenge and I've been using Geras Tremor, and then I saw Geras get that buff of the EX command grab, and I haven't really found much to use it with Tremor, which is too bad because it looks like super duper strong with other cameos. But
because he always comes out kind of in front of you when the command grab's throwing them away.
Yeah. So like,
so in the corner, there's probably something. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't looked into it too much. It's been an interesting challenge. You know, I'm kind of glad that I took this path with you, Hatyr, of sticking with a character that, you know, for a whole month, and, you know, testing myself every week to see how I'm doing, progress. You know,
yeah. I'm sorry I ever brought it up. It's been grueling for me. No, yeah, it was really grueling at first, and it definitely. I feel way better about the character, and the trajectory I thought it was going to go is not how it went at all. The kind of like stuff that I started to find, and you know, once you find your ebb and flow and your comfort level, like with the character, or you just start kind of like, well, I wonder what this could do, you know, like sort of thing, or like, oh, you know, Sector has so many cool little tricky things she can kind of like do in neutral to try to like bait and punish with those air thrusters. Even if it's totally worth the bar sometimes. That shit is just so fun. But I don't really like playing a zoner, and that was the real challenge for me, is picking and choosing my times. You were just talking about people jumping over your stuff or getting too silly at certain distances, and that's a big problem I have, you know, when you give me these big slow projectiles. And then I pair it with frost too.
Yeah.
Right. So that bad space that gets me punished a lot. But
those frost,
like you said, zoning's not very good in this game. I mean, she's really oppressive, right? But so many characters in this game have teleports, and I feel like I just hate those matchups so much. I have a really hard time adjusting to that sort of like game plan.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's zoning is definitely weak in this game. Sector is a little bit more of like an all-rounder, I would say, than Quan is, with just like an emphasis on zoning, especially from some of the stuff that I've seen you do with the frost wall and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I think it makes it a little bit easier for her, but it's still like her main game plan, and there's still like Sub-Zero armor and Kenshi just projectile immune, and Johnny Cage quick ass shadow kick with armor, you know, and all these characters with teleports. You know, it seems like every character that doesn't have a teleport has some bullshit way of getting in, you know? Like, that's supposed to be your weakness as you get zoned, but no, you have a dash or a stupid armored move or a projectile that eats my projectiles, you know? Like, Tanya's freaking EX projectile eats all 3 of my purple skulls. Like, how is that fair? That's stupid. Stupid.
Yeah, because others, like Sectors, right, will only eat the middle one, and I still get hit by the spiraling one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I just hate that matchup, though. I'm going to be doing a Quan Chi matchup chart pretty soon here, I think, and I have some thoughts on that.
You have some hot takes?
I have the hottest of takes. Absolutely hottest of takes. But that's just me. I always have hot takes over the years. I have strong opinions of my characters, and I try to defend them. Geras, I cannot defend, though. I'm not good with Geras. I'm just not good with Geras. Like, I don't understand like how to mix up my options really well with a command grab. And I've been saying this since MK11, because MK11, I played a little bit of Geras and Jax, and I just said I am not responsible enough to have a command grab. I throw this shit out way too much. Like, always the same patterns, too. Like, the amount of times you've punished me for doing, like, forward 1-2 command grab, and you just duck, and just, like, you look like an idiot. 1-to-1 teleport.
I mean, that's how I feel playing Sector, right? I'm not very comfortable trying. I feel like if it's not a matchup where both players are just trying to get in on each other and maul each other, you know, somebody's the cat and somebody's the mouse. And which one are you? Like, when things get really polarized like that, I don't feel comfortable being like heavy rushdown or heavy zoner. You just said the Sector's probably not so much of like a heavy zoner, right? But when a lot of your neutral and pacing control revolves around like, you know, air grenades and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm very, very good at stuff like that. If you could go back and not choose Geras, but whereas I was going to say you're the opposite, right? Maybe you don't feel comfortable being the cat. You'd rather be the mouse.
Yeah, I don't like being up close in your face, and it's just like my comfort zone is playing zoning characters for majority of my life. Is like I'm just so used to like get away from me that it's like not instinctual for me to like try and get in on you. And then like combos and stuff are fine, whatever, but like mixing up options, I always forget about my overhead, all that kind of stuff. So it's just, but it has been a learning experience for me on how to fight Geras, because, and I've said this before, is like, if you want to learn how to counter a character, learn that character. And like, I understand kind of the things that he struggles with and the things that he excels at, and kind of where you want to be, and, you know, that kind of thing. Make sure that you're aware of when your snap is in play. And even playing against Geras, I've been way more aware of where their snaps and all that kind of stuff are, just from playing the character and knowing how important it is to manage.
Right. You're like, I get punished for that all the time. There's got to be something that I can do about it now that I'm not playing the character.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Quan's standing 4 is pretty good in most scenarios against a blocked snap. So
Sandstorm.
Yeah,
snap,
that too. Both of those things.
Yeah, I fight a fair amount of Geras. Like, we have some active Geras players in the Discord, and I would say he's a semi-popular character, and you definitely play him different than any other Geras that I play.
And I think that's maybe why I'm not excelling with him as much, because I'm trying to play him a little bit more like neutral and kind of bait and punish kind of a thing that, like, you know, I would play with other characters when really he can do that to some extent, but I don't think that's kind of the main area he wants to be. But that's just where I seem to gravitate to. Like, I start out and I'm like, okay, I'm going to rush down, do all these command grabs, do all this crazy, and then it just slowly turns into me trying to play neutral.
Like, right. Which is like his biggest weakness.
I remember week 1 I was playing against you, and I'm just the whole time I'm just trying to counter zone, and this wasn't until like And I got to like game 7 or 8. Then what the fuck am I doing? Why am I trying to counter zone sector? Just move the fuck in. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
Like,
That's how I feel when I'm playing sectors. Like, why do I keep going in? Like, especially when it's working, I get kind of bored, right? I've got like 3 air grenades in me before I'll just do like a 4-3 or something, just because, dude, I just can't keep it up. I just start to feel bad, or I just feel like
Right.
I don't know. I can't be relentless about it. But all the time, I'll do that. They block a couple, and it's like, why do I keep going in? That's where they want me to be. Just,
Yep.
you know, I try to keep your sound advice. Once I'm getting, you know, my back's getting close to the corner, I'm like really thinking about how I'm gonna switch sides here.
Yeah, you gotta get that in ahead of time before you get yourself trapped, and then you're.
Now they're in a corner,
Yeah.
and you know, when I've got Frost, like that is absolutely the number one win condition of that team. Sector Frost is if I've got Kameo and you're in the corner, you know, it's time to play.
Yeah, I'm never guessing right in that situation ever. I'm gonna find myself frozen every single time. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah,
but
you have to block. You have to block and accept the plus frames. There's way, because it's not always like super consistent. I've
Sure.
had people kind of wiggle out of it before. Somebody will quickly like poke me and they're able to recover and block the orb, but that punishes most people. And if you're a big boy like Geras, it just always hits meaty. There's literally nothing you can do besides just wake up and block. Because all I'm doing is putting out the orb and then I'm just blocking, right? And I'll take the plus frame. So that's how it should work. I set up the orb and I'm just holding the block button. And if you try to beat the orb with armor, I'm just going to punish the armor, and it's just going to cycle into itself if I've got another Kameo.
Right.
If not, I can use an EX Sidewinder or something and try to keep my turn, or, you know.
That move is
so yeah. If you try to do anything else, you're just, I don't know. Yeah. It's fucked up.
It is fucked up. And it hits me all the time. I don't like it at all. Doesn't make me salty, though, because it's a good setup. And you're using it well, so can't really get mad at that front.
Yeah, I feel like the easiest way out of it in the corner is just to block, and then, you know, it's not like I technically have an overhead and a low, but it's not like a true sort of 50-50 sort of thing, right? I feel like back 2 is like a good sort of like shimmy. Not so much of like, oh, caught you ducking, you know, even though I don't try to, but I do end up using it that way sometimes. And that's one of the first things that people start to beat in that matchup. Bad back 2s.
If you have a way to make that back to a safe launcher, that's like super duper good. Like a Kameo or something, or like you do the back 2 Frosty's Revenge a lot, which I finally started ducking last time we played. But then you just mix it up with other shit. So it's like,
so that's another really good thing. If I ever made like a character guide or whatever, I feel like that's a lot of the inherent synergy for that. Ice Crash is just a little bit faster. So you can armor out of a cancel into Frost, but let's say you're not armoring. I do the Frosty's Revenge and now you're ducking it. Or you can actually just poke, right? If I do forward 2-1 into Frosty's Revenge, if you're just mashing down 1, you're going to hit Frost before she has a chance to come out. Same thing with Ice Carpet, if I wanted to do that on block. But if you're doing that, the mid +4 on block Ice Crash will punish you, and it's +42.
That's crazy.
On hit. You know, and I've got, you know, 4-3 cancel or air thruster into like whatever you're into, like a sector little mix down situation. Like, stop fucking with me. We got to respect this. And then once you do, you've got the Frosty's Revenge use for all that chip damage, assuming they don't flawless block, but it builds you meter, like a lot of meter, assuming they don't flawless block. Most importantly, the spacing you get. Like if you block, even if you do flawless block, you're like where sector wants to be.
Yep.
It's too good. It's so good. So it's not just the orb. I feel like sector uses everything. It's the first team I've played where I feel like I have to be super mindful of my resources because I like to use everything, not just 1 or 2 things. And that's how I feel like when I play sector, right? My Melina sector team is basically rockets and flamethrowers, not much of the other stuff.
That sector teleport is super good at checking movement too. It
is now. They sped it up, right?
Yeah, I get hit by that a lot. I don't know. I just can't watch my toes. You don't jump when you see sector Kameo on the screen. That's for sure. That thing is hitting you.
I noticed that on a lot of when I was playing Kombat League last season, like when I was working my way up. So starting in Combatant or Apprentice or wherever whatever the first one is, right? There are so many sector teams and people swapping to sector, and that's how they would use it. They would just do it, right? Round start, or they see your feet leave the ground and they just hit it, even if they don't really even get a combo off of it.
I wanted to ask you actually, in your Combat League adventures, have you come across any teams that you kind of were like, what the hell is this? Wow, what do these two do with each other? You know, like I was playing against my teammate on Black James last night, and he was playing Cyrax Striker, and I had never seen that team before, but he was doing like the multi-hitting buzzsaw string that goes into the overhead. He would
yeah, with the 4-2.
Yeah, he would throw a bomb down, do that move, but instead of doing the overhead, do the striker low sweep, and it would hit me into the bomb and launch me. So it was like a pseudo kind of 50-50. And then things like doing that's standard striker stuff, like the...
that low's plus on block, isn't it? Or is it only the overhead?
I think it's +1. I think the overhead is like +4 or
like
something like that.
Okay, yeah. That sounds about right.
But yeah, I just thought that it's a team that I've never seen before, so I wasn't sure if you had seen anything in Combat League or online that you were like, what the heck is this? You know?
Unfortunately not. I feel like I either ran into meta teams or I ran into people that had like really, they just chose their favorite characters.
Right, like a Scorpion kind of.
Like there was like it's okay, and a lot of Serena, like a lot of Serena and a lot of Frost, and I feel like they're the two most basic cameos. They do have some like layers to them, but like I feel just like on a ground level, a basic level, those are two very good like starter cameos.
Right.
If you don't know like who to choose, right, they'll give you something that you can work with until you start to get like other ideas, unless you have particular synergy with them. But they bring something to everybody. Depends how you want to play.
The discussion that we've been having in STB chats is Movado, and I have kind of an issue with the fact that he's labeled as an expert cameo, but you can just press him and he just comes out anyways. Like if it hits, he comes out. If it doesn't, he doesn't. So like, where's the expertise in that outside of losing 50 health? Why is he labeled an expert cameo?
I think it's the combo pathing that he enables from just what he's able to do. I feel like he gives you combos that no other cameo can, and that might be, I don't like the same reason that Shujinko is sort of. You don't have unique things every matchup, but every character I feel like has special Movado combos.
Yeah, I know Quan Chi does. I've messed around with that, and I remember seeing, I can't remember who it was in the Bone Dome, was doing some pretty cool combos with Quan Movado, and I thought about
stand for, yeah. The double stand for cameo to like he pushing them in and then he ended the combo. Like it went from full screen, standing 4 punished, and brought him all the way to him from full screen. That looked pretty cool.
Yeah, stuff like that I find really, really interesting. But I mean, I was looking at I don't know why I was doing this. I guess I was just bored or something, but I was just going through and looking at the labeling of all the cameos, and that was the one that kind of stood out to me as like, what the fuck? Like, why is he an expert? The rest of them seem to make sense. Shujinko expert. I think Janet's expert. I think Chameleon was maybe intermediate. I can't remember. I'd have to look at it again.
What about Farah? There's just like a picture of a potato.
I think she's labeled as intermediate, which I think is, I don't know how I feel about that. I really don't.
I mean, I think that's fair because she's not super straightforward. Like if say like you're like a casual and it's not like you're watching YouTube videos or anything, right? You're just playing the game like you would play like, I don't know, anything else. And you like pick her and you're like, what am I supposed to like? You get like the stance sort of thing, but not like the neutral jump punch and the lackey and things like that. I don't think that's all super straightforward. Maybe who knows?
It's hard to say. I mean, I think you have to have a pretty good understanding of fighting games to utilize her like fully, but I don't think she's necessarily super duper complicated. Mix up into pain and gain stuff could be a little bit more expertise, I think, because you're taking your health, so you got to pick those points, and of course you can kill yourself like I've seen numerous times online, so you got to be careful there.
Yeah, Evil Presence was showing me, so he's been playing Scorpion Farah, right? So the old classic back 3 canceled into the Tor stance, now overhead or low, and you have to armor out of it kind of to get out of it. So as part of that's you have overhead, low, and throw, right? The old classic Scorpion
Classic.
fair off the back 3.
Yep.
So when you use your armor to get out of that, he didn't go into the overhead, the low, or the throw. He went into Pain and Gain, which has its own armor, and then he punishes you with the damage buff. So
Similar to what
that's
we were
fun.
talking earlier, like baiting a punish with armor and then getting a combo.
Yep.
So that's sneaky. That's super duper sneaky. I haven't.
Yeah, it hurts my feelings to get hit by stuff like that.
Hurts my feelings as well, Hatyr. I feel personally attacked when I get hit by a fair or low. It's unfortunate.
Right.
But the Kombat Pack 2 hype is kind of dying down now. It's Ghostface has been out for a couple weeks, and people are kind of starting to, I don't want to say move on, but they're kind of starting to focus on different things now. Some people are actually even moving into different games. So I don't know what. I feel like if they leave the T1000 release, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the next character, I don't think they've actually released like a schedule for how that works.
They haven't, but they did change the order that they listed the names, because I think when it was first revealed, it was Ghostface, like just the way the text read, right? From left to right. Ghostface, T1000, Conan. Right. And then in the Ghostface trailer, that it says Conan and T1000. So some people are taking that as a indication that we might be getting Conan before T1000.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I didn't see that, so that's good that you caught that.
I didn't catch it. Somebody else did. I just saw it on my Twitter feed.
That's fair. That's fair. So it is a little worrisome that we don't have dates for either of those characters yet, and I hope that they don't like leave them too long, before they actually release them. But I feel like they're kind of trying to drag this out a little bit, but I'm worried that they'll wait too long, and by the time they're even released, no one's even playing the game anymore. Maybe that's their way of trying to save it.
I mean, when I go to send somebody like a crossplay invite, so you're looking at the in-game friends list, like sort of thing online.
Yep.
I've got my online PlayStation friends, my online WB friends. There's, I would say, 0 to 5 usually. And then when the expansion came out, like I had to scroll. I have not seen that many people online in a long time. And that was pretty consistent for like the first week and a half. But like you said, it's like it's stabilized. It's kind of back down to normal.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't really have issues finding games. Sometimes in Kombat League, I'll end up playing the same person a couple different times, but I mean, that's nothing unusual. And there's always people, like, I feel like every morning I wake up and I check the Bonehawk Discord, and there's always somebody that's pinging out for MK1 players, like looking for games and that kind of thing. Which, if you're looking for a place to hang out, play some salt-free games, you can hang out in the Discord. Join my Patreon, link in description.
Yeah, salt-free.
Salt-free. Well,
you're
not always.
Using air quotes there.
Yeah.
Well,
not
see,
always.
honestly, I'm feeling a little burned out on the game. I feel like I've been hitting it too hard, like with the challenge month and all that sort of stuff. And I definitely, when you get to the point where it's like, I'm not feeling it. So you just kind of like try to palate cleanse with another character. Nope, not feeling that either. Next thing you know, you're like on character number 6 or something. And it's like, I just got to stop playing the game for a couple days or something, right? I'm just not feeling anything.
That almost happened to me. And then I ended up picking up Scorpion for a month, and that was fun. And now I have a pocket Scorpion. Character I never thought I would play. But he just meshed so well with Shujinko, I couldn't not do it. It's like, it's just so fun. I love Shujinko so much. He's probably one of my favorite things that I've ever played in fighting games. Just the challenge, the right amount of challenge, the right amount of execution, just all that stuff. He's just, I was surprised I ended up playing him, to be honest, because I don't care for the character at all. I know it's, in my handle or whatever, but that was just a funny pun kind of a thing. I didn't really care for the character, but now he's got that goofiness to him too, that's just, just that old man charm.
He has old man strength.
It's true. Yeah.
And he's got a sick Fu Manchu.
He does have a sick Fu Manchu.
The kind of comic relief they use him for is, it, even if you're getting bodied, it's still kind of funny.
It is true. Coming out with shades on, or Peacemaker's helmet, or
dude, the Peacemaker's helmet's so good.
Props to whoever thought about that. That's an amazing, amazing takeaway. Those steals in that matchup are actually pretty good. Like Shujinko is, I think, invincible during the forward headbutt move. It's like you can blast through like Eagly or whatever like that. Just throw him out there.
Oh, okay.
Like, yeah, that's just in most of the DLC characters, he's a lot more fleshed out than the main roster, and I'm not sure if that's just a release thing or, they just had more time with the DLC characters to do this with Shujinko, but he's definitely stronger against every DLC character than he is against the cast. So, makes it fun. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's how it worked out.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything with. I've only really been playing Shujinko with noob and only never in a real game, right? But just kind of messing around with combos and seeing what fits together. And I couldn't find anything super good with the big explosion. I felt like they launched way too far away, even if I just used the punch instead of the kick.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely for certain characters kind of a thing, So I use more of the anti-gravity for a launcher than I do the blast. Sometimes he has things that are like setups in the corner or whatever. Like that blast is good in the corner because they're not going to, blow them away or whatever, right? It's right there. So I don't know. He's fun. I have a lot of fun with him. And I think that brings us to the end of another week, Hatyr. Week 31 now, I think we are, a Bonehawk podcast. Not even...
Yeah, sorry I'm under the weather. Sorry you had to listen to all my sniffling and stuff.
30 weeks of brilliant, nice, crispy Hatyr voice, and then we get one little sniffly episode. That's not so bad. I'd say that's a pretty good record. And we'll be able to go back next week and compare. Like, how much better you sound this week?
I'm interested to see if next week you're still playing Geras and I'm still playing Sector.
Well, you'll have to find out after our last first to 10 that we're doing right after this. And I think we'll do like a mini little recap afterwards. Is that kind of our idea after the set, to just talk about our experience and what the plans are with these characters going forward? I think that would be cool.
We could do something like that.
Cool. Well, that's it for another week. We'll have the first to 10 out tomorrow, so check for that. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like because it really helps me out. And subscribe if you haven't, because I make new videos almost every single day. Hashtag Bonehawks, all that stuff, and we'll see all you Bonehawks in the next video.
Accept your death.